Okay, to start these encounters off, I've chosen this bully of a moose walking up to me in a snowstorm. It was absolutely beautiful. I've always actually wanted to film a moose in the snow, and this couldn't get much better. He walked up to me as if he was just a king, and he had no fear whatsoever. Take a look at this. The antlers on this thing wasn't big, just that his attitude and his body was just absolutely huge. I couldn't believe it, and he just walked right out to me, wide open, and a perfect video. This was well after the rut, but this bull was still willing to fight. You know he's ticked off when you can see the whites of his eyes. I was standing in a wide open bog and very little cover, and this bull kept coming straight out to me, and of course he kept a little bit to my right, and he's eventually going to get the wind of me. When he finally got out close enough to me and got downwind of me, his attitude quickly changed. He knew he was in trouble, and as fast as he could, he tried to get back to the cover. Very first part of September, and I wouldn't expect this bull to be so brave to come so close to me this early in the season. Just watch this. No. This is a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I wasn't even looking for a bear. I was just out looking for moose, and I stumbled on this bear. And normally bears here in Newfoundland, if they see you or smell you or whatever, as soon as they do, they're gone. But for some reason this bear comes straight toward me, and I had no choice but to get ready, and just in case that something went wrong. And as you'll see here, at three steps away, I didn't have much choice. No. Close enough now. There was two more bulls just over to his left. One was even bigger than this one, and they didn't seem to care about me being there. This one, he didn't like me at all. He always kept looking at me, watching every move I made. Here's a scene that some may say that I'm just looking for trouble, and yeah, probably you're right. But it's just something I always wanted to try, and I'm not trying to encourage everyone to try it, because I know that things can go wrong. I had my just as crazy buddy Daniel Sacre along to help me film this. I've done the same kind of thing in the Yukon, but I wasn't sure how they would react here in Newfoundland. Of course, I get asked all the time, aren't you scared that you're going to get charged by one of those moose sometime? Well, of course, it would be a scary thing to happen, and I try to respect moose as best I can, but I enjoy it as well. Trying to get close to them is just something about it. But from what I've seen about moose, they would rather try to show off their antlers and see if somebody will back down first. And naturally, I do before it gets too close. This is a bull moose that I filmed last year, actually. I think is one of the biggest for sure. One of the biggest moose I've ever filmed in Newfoundland, antler-wise. Not the spread, but the boards. His antlers was just massive boards, and I don't think the video actually does justice. But when I seen them, I just couldn't believe how big the boards were. So as me and my buddy Daniel tried to get closer, we got, I don't know, maybe 100 yards away, and he had another bull with him. This was before the season opened, so we didn't want to scare him anyway. But as we got closer, this second bull would always be in the way, and we never did get a real good video of him. So we went back a couple days later and found him again. He was no more than 300 yards away from where we seen him the first day, but instead of just one bull, this time he had two bulls with him, and the chance of getting close to him, and I just couldn't make it work. They wouldn't respond to calls at all. But it was just beautiful to stand across the little pond there and watch him across the pond, just looking over at me, and his antlers were just, I couldn't believe how big those boards were. Deformed a little bit, yes, but with just a lot of mass, and I was just longing to be able to get close enough to him to get a real good video, and no way, I knew it wasn't going to happen today. And we watched him, and he slowly walked in across the bog, and what's funny was soon as the rifle season started, that bull moose was never seen again. I thought for sure that somebody, but this is not very far from a road at all, I thought for sure somebody on early season was going to kill this bull. So we never heard tell of it, so we went back again this year, and I couldn't believe it. The first morning, look what we seen. We were just about to stop at this little lookout point on the road where we look out across the big bog of where we've seen the big bull last year. Up steps Mr. Bull, the same one. I mean, gotta be identical antlers up on the road in front of us, and of course we just spooked him, and he didn't stick around at all. That's all we got, just a little glimpse of him, just enough to tease us. So we went back the next day. This time I had a tag, and I was going to try and shoot him with a bow.
2016. I got a moose license for this area.
We're in there not just daylight. We look across the valley here. We see two monsters. So I'm gonna try it with this. See if we get it work. So we only gotta go like 5-6 yards. We two loose. So let's go. Every so often we would stop before we left the road and take a look with binoculars and made sure that everything was still going good. The bulls didn't notice us and just feeding over there, and everything was just going as planned. We were now like maybe 300 yards from the moose, and if I can get this work, this was going to be the biggest bull moose that I ever taken with a bow. I was excited, I gotta say. The use of a scrape I find deadly, but I think a lot of people use it too aggressively. You know, they strike the trees too hard. I've watched quite a few videos of guys just striking the trees. I mean, not very often you see moose on that. So this was early season. They weren't really using their antlers to do any scrapes, but they were about to start rubbing their velvet off their antlers. So I would just rub the trees gently, just to make them think that I was a bull over across the bog and trying to get rid of my velvet. When I felt like the moose were convinced that I was just another bull, I had no choice but to walk right across the wide open bog and just rock my my bow and arrow back and forth over my head, pretending I was just a bull coming across the bog because they can see me. But I didn't have any trees to scrape on as I was going across because it was just a wide open bog. But I know I've done it before, and I just felt that it was going to work again. Well, I made it across the bog, and everything was just going so good, you know. And to my surprise, sure, most are going to agree that usually when there's two moose around, the bigger bull stays behind, and he pushes the small one in front to go out and check out, you know, what I really was. But I couldn't believe it. Here was the big bull coming straight out to me, and it was only going to be a matter of seconds now, and this bull was going to be in range. Well, I probably could have took him here, but I just want him to walk ahead a little bit further. You know, there was no panic. I just want him to walk ahead another 2 or 3 feet, and that was it. There was a little window there that I could shoot through. Just, you know, a perfect plan, but sometimes it don't always work the way you make the plan. Did you catch just what happened? Here's where the panic set in. Just watch this again. Yes, I hit my trigger release by mistake. Oh, I was in a panic. And this was a new trigger release I had here, and I just couldn't get back on the string. And by the time I did, the bull was gone, and I didn't even get a shot. I was so ticked off. Well, I had my chance, and just my luck, we never seen that bull no more. So I hope this is to be continued, because next year we're going to be back in the same place again, trying to find him again.